2024 is the Lanterra's 25th anniversary. Hard to imagine that Barry and I first met in 1999, actually at One Bedford, which is one of our flagship projects. And since then, we've had 25 major projects, multi-phase, altogether 41 buildings, and thousands, tens of thousands of residential units. And together we actually changed the skyline of Toronto. So Barry, so what do you think? 25 years? Hard to imagine I put up with you for 25 years.
Well, you know what's great about being your partner for 25 years is that ever since I met you, I've lost weight. I've actually grown some hair. And in truthfulness, it's, you can write a book. If you watch Dr. Phil, he'll tell you, Mark, this is how a great partnership works. With partnerships, there's give and take, but at the end of the day, we've worked together. And it's been spectacular, and we've really built the skyline of the city of Toronto. I mean, I remember Maple Leaf Square and ice, and you and I would drive down and we'd kind of go over a barren patch. It was pretty cool. So I'm pretty proud of ourselves, to be honest.
So when we started in 1999, did you ever expect that we'd end up doing all the stuff that we've done? Maple Leaf Square, ice, Burano?
No, it was pretty cool. Like I thought, okay, we'll do some maybe low rise, maybe some mid rise. But it's kind of fun because when I look from the terrace of my apartment, I see a lot of stuff that we've created. So that's kind of very exciting for me.
So let's go down memory lane. We started at Bedford, and our first project was Water Park City. You remember Molson's, right?
Oh yeah, the Molson Brewery. That was right by the exhibition place. And that was an interesting site to buy. That was back, I think, in the early 2000s, correct?
Very early.
Yeah.
And we remember our big Apple sign on the utility building?
Yeah, remember like we paid maybe $1 for the land, and then just kidding, and then we ended up realizing that Mark said, hey Barry, there's a big sign that Molson's has plastered on this big tower. What can we do with it? And of course, about 2 months later, we got Astral Media to pay us by the month, lots of dough for the time at that time, and we actually created value just on the signage. It was really a lot of fun, actually. Yeah, there was that big Apple sign.
But anyway, Water Park City led us to 18 Yonge, which was a whole new kettle of fish. 18 Yonge, we bought that from Fairmount, which ended up being Fairmount. And we reinvented what was then the hole in the donut by creating the South Financial Core with the construction development of Maple Leaf Square and eventually ICE.
Yeah, and what was really interesting about 18 Yonge is I remember driving down and one of my kids said, hey Dad, this piece of land isn't like 20 by 20. It was a really tight piece of land between the Gardner and between the rail tracks to the train station. It was a really tight site. But I think that was an exciting project for us because we created cow pasture into creating a site where they said you can't get anything but office. And I don't know, how many square feet did we build there at the end? We still own Maple Leaf Square, but
No, that was a pretty amazing project. But tell me, of all the projects that we've done, and we've done many, which is your favorite? We'll compare notes.
Yeah, I'm going to say I kind of liked acquiring all the stuff near Bay and Wellesley area. We bought the Brit, the Sutton place. We bought the stuff from Addison on Bay. And I think actually my most favorable, memorable time was when we tied up Bloor and Bedford. And after about 2 years with Barry going in and negotiating a certain way, you decided, no, it's enough, Barry. We're not going to get to the holdout. And you put in the contract when we bought the land from the guy that I was entitled to get a haircut for every month as long as he was, I don't think he paid us much rent. But I think Bloor Bedford was really exciting for me because that's kind of how we started this whole exercise.
And we lived there.
And we lived there, yeah.
But what's your most favorite project? Your special project? One that you think about. Like, how the hell did I ever do this?
Maple Leaf Square. I think that whole quadrant, we're still involved. We still have ownership in the whole complex. It's on TV all the time. We created, commercial, hotel, retail. And then I think that the ICE buildings are spectacular. I remember at the time, we were told that we couldn't build something like more than 20 stories. And what were they, 65 and 55 stories at the end with beautiful rooftops. That to me was like creating something from A and going to Z. It was really cool. But you were the visionary.
Let's think out of the box.
Okay.
What do you think about the toy factory?
Oh yeah, that was fun. The toy factory was really a cool site.
Probably the biggest headache to build.
Oh yeah, I think that the toy factory has bigger hallways than any other thing I've ever seen in the city. That was one of our first projects. And yeah, that was a fun project actually, the toy factory. I don't know, Mark is always the one that came up with with names, and he's always the guy that's sketching stuff out to figure out how we can do it differently. Yeah, how did we come up with the toy factory name?
Because it was the Irwin Toy Factory.
Do you remember walking in on the second floor, cobwebs, 30-foot ceilings, and we said, what are we going to do with this? We figured it out. We figured it out. I would like to do another one of those one day. What do you think?
Well, I could tell you with the Toy Factory, probably one of the most original marketing pieces was our cartoon book.
Oh, wow, I remember that, yeah. Yeah.
And that took some actual doing.
But you had me look like Albert Einstein, by the way, with the big, like the bold and then the heavy.
Amazing what you could do with Photoshopping, yeah. No, but along the way, we actually did something like really interesting. I mean, every project that we did had a certain character. Like we didn't just build buildings, we built buildings with character. So just using Treviso as an example.
Oh, yeah.
It's Dufferin Lawrence, which was local Italian neighborhood, Columbus Center across the street. But we created something that was actually extraordinary in terms of being influenced by Italian design. And till today, it's a great place to live. And the people who bought condos there made a lot of money.
They made a lot of money, yeah. I remember going to Treviso and walking around the main fountain in the main square. It was kind of really, really fun. Yeah, I mean, that was a very cool project. Do you remember and recall Rodeo and the whole post office complex with Cadillac Fairview?
Of course.
Shops of Don Mills.
And that's coming up.
Well, we have that coming up, and we have the post office site, which actually I'm really excited about. I'm not quite sure when we can launch, but can we launch it like sooner than later?
Well, this afternoon we're having our kickoff architects meeting.
So there you go.
So there you go.
Huh?
I tell you, somewhere along the line we have these little jewels of a project that, you know, they're maybe smaller than the average, but they're actual jewels. And I would count 3018 Yonge as one of those very special projects.
Yeah,
About
that
11
was fun.
stories. It was middle of Lawrence Park. Pontrini did amazing architecture. And I could tell you, like the people living there just love living there. It's absolutely like a thing of beauty. And you know, every once in a while we have you know, these maybe smaller projects that have really certain character. I mean, if you remember 22 Wellesley East in the Church Street community, and you know, we had the
2x4 designers.
2x4 designers and a very avant-garde you know, sales presentation center. But the building, which was on a little postage style sized piece of land, was actually so beautifully designed. The units were designed, sold really well, and till today is right next to the subway station. It's absolutely something amazing. I could tell you though, in terms of pure engineering, even though Maple Leaf Square and Ice were like big things.
You're going to say 11 Wellesley?
No, I would say 501 Yonge Street, Teahouse.
Yeah, that's right.
Like here we built 2 towers on top of the Yonge Street subway.
Literally.
Straddling, like literally.
Yeah.
And even today, if you actually go and look at that subway tunnel below there, like I can't even believe. And the thing didn't move. I mean, like, I lost a lot of sleep, you know. They would have like drilled in the wrong place. It would stop the entire TTC system.
And the best thing about this guy, honestly, is he knows, I'm going to give him credit, he knows how to create a little extra value. So we had about, 2 levels below grade at 501 Yonge, and Mark was saying, you know, that's, you know, we kind of didn't, what do you want to use it for? And you know, we were thinking maybe a disco for, you know, rent it out, and we even had the local counselor come to us and say, hey, can we do something with it? What did we do? Well, Good Life took the space, and we have a beautiful underground gym being built as we speak. So that's really kind of really exciting, but it is a really cool project because you're literally built on top of the train station, and in order to get to the train station, if there's a problem, there's like they crawl underground and they're able to open the lid and see what's going down. I mean, that's pretty cool. But 11 Wellesley, getting back to that, that's a spectacular building, and we created this park. Do you remember the big park that you negotiated with the city? Because we had park obligations for the Brit, for 501 Yonge, for 11 Wellesley. And Mark put all the pieces together and said, look, if we do this, this, and this, we'll give you a park. And that park is spectacular, actually, at 11 Wellesley. And the building itself is beautiful.
All right, but every once in a while we do projects that, like, 2 years later, why the hell are we doing this? And I think Brit would be in that list.
Well, it was complicated because it was one of our first buildings that we ended up doing a refurbishment of a building, right? We stripped the building out, the city wouldn't let us tear it down. So what did we end up building at the end? 39 stories, right? Because Stop is 32, the old Sutton Place Hotel.
We had another 9 stories with structural steel.
Yeah.
But it was a very complicated building to build. We had to do a rental replacement. We have shoppers on the bottom. And we tried to do British design. And we actually all marched to London at the time to sort of pick up all kinds of ideas from famous London hotels.
What about Glencairn and Bathurst and the Bolorama that I used to go to as a child with my late father? And we ended up buying the Bolorama. Who would have thought that, I don't know, 45 years later, I would have bought the Bolorama with you, and we were building a beautiful project actually at Bathurst and Glencairn.
And it's going to be one of our most sensational projects with a small boutique hotel, some beautiful retail, and the architecture is just stunning. It's a real community project. It's an absolutely real community project, and I'm going to be living in it, and it's in my hood, near our office. It's really part of our daily existence.
But you know, when we talk, you know, like, and on a serious note, when we chat about it, like what we've accomplished, like I think about you and I being the Jack Bushes of the painting world. And Jack Bush, from the 40s to when he died, painted differently every 4 or 5 years. He was one of the most prolific artists in the world. His stuff sells for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Beautiful product. We have some of his art lying around between our houses and the office. And like, we just didn't stick to one knitting, right? We didn't say, okay, we're going to build 30-story buildings, keep them clean, you know, small square floor plates. We did everything, actually, when you think about it, almost everything, right? And we always took challenges. We always took properties that people didn't think could make it, and we've been pretty successful doing it. That's the fun thing about it, right? There's not a day that I don't come in and say, okay, what's going to come up today? It's like being a triage doctor, but it's like being a triage doctor in real estate. And it is exciting, right? Because we're always, I think, way ahead of the game.
Well, let's talk about the projects that are actually right now under construction. I was just yesterday at Artist Alley, and every day that project becomes more and more beautiful. You know, we're still going to be selling the office space, but the architecture of all 3 buildings and how they merge together,
Beautiful, yeah.
The public art that we're going to have with Ryan Gander Park and the public concourse connecting OCAD, you know, campuses to the university. It's actually one of the most magnificent buildings that we've ever built, and it's a big thing. It's going to be a Toronto Parking Authority facility in there. It's all sold out, 100% sold out. We're going to have it ready probably in the beginning of 2025. But if you just walk around and look at the buildings, you know, the amount of people that work there, the amount of cranes,
spectacular.
It's unbelievable. It's
also
just coming
close
off
to
the
the
ground
hospital,
now, but
yeah.
Notting Hill, you know, we're sort of very much busy with Notting Hill right now, but it's 4 buildings. It's crazy amount of apartments there. It's going to be absolutely, in a couple of years, right next to the LRT stop, probably one of the top buildings in the city.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, is that we always seem to, we're risk takers, but we're really not. And I think the nice thing about what we've done over the years is we have our own fantastic team internally, right? So we take a lot of the risks out of the game because we have our own construction people, our own marketing people. You know, we have planners, like we have a whole team, right? So we take the whole, like, it's like taking the whole Monopoly board. I always like to mention Monopoly. And let's kind of putting it together. So it's really, really, really cool. Really cool.
Okay, so like when we're going to be like in our late 90s, God willing, on rocking chairs on our Muskoka, you know, cottage, and we're going to look back, what will be your most special building? Okay, I'll tell you. It's going to be Schollard.
I was just about to say Schollard. No, it is going to be Schollard. I mean, Schollard is a beautiful gem, right, in Yorkville. I love the design.
And Foster.
Yeah, fantastic. It's spectacular, right? Again, that's really completely different than some of the other product we've built. But that's going to be like, reminds me of like the Royal Bank Plaza, you know, on Bay Street. You know, just it stands out, right? So I think that's just, it's going to be a favorite. But that's still, I mean, I love Schollard, I really do. But I still think I would go back to maybe 11 Wellesley or maybe down on the Front Street area for my favorites. What's your favorite project? Did you say?
Oh, it's like choosing among your children.
Yeah.
You know, but even the stuff that, you know, we see the renderings, but it's coming out of the ground, 31 Parliament, it's coming out of the ground now. We still have some units left to sell there, but that's, you know, the Distillery District, which had, you know, like a long start, but right now is a go-to area in the city. There's all kinds of subways going through the area right now. It's going to be a phenomenal.
And 263
phenomenal
Adelaide, Natasha,
right,
when you
Natasha.
think about that,
Right.
I know that there's others now circling around trying to figure out how to get substantially more than what we've sold to date in square footage. I mean, that's a great area. I mean, that area will never dissipate, right? It'll never disappear. What do you think of 427 in Rathburn? I'm curious, the site that we have up on
Well, the LRT is going to snake its way up to the airport. It's going to be going right by there. You know, different condominiums are for different people, and condos downtown are getting expensive. So there's going to be a big market where people are going to try to save a few $100 a foot and go out, especially where it's very transportation friendly. Not necessarily just transit friendly, but it's next to highways, it's near the airport, it's next to places where you get jobs. And if you could buy a condo there for a little cheaper, it makes a
I think
big
that's good
difference. And even for investment value, because the rent isn't going to change much, but the purchase price is actually a little cheaper. So I think that's going to be an amazing
Can
project.
I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Because we don't have the whole day, because we have to go back to do our day job. But if I asked you now in 25 years, what do you think? Like, forget about how we get along. Why do you think Lanterra is the success that we are? What would you attribute to that?
Because we have a great team.
I thought you were going to say just me, but you're not.
No, never. But we do have a great team. And we're really proud of them, whether they're the guys in the construction department, the accounting department, customer service, our planning guys. You can't build buildings if you don't have the people behind you. And we're proud. Most of the people who work for us have been working for us for like close to 20 years.
You know, it's interesting. I've always thought about our business as like we have to be responsible. You have to be responsible to banks. You have to be responsible to each other for being partners. But we also have to be responsible to make sure that the staff that work with us, they're good. And I think that's really what I'm proud of. Like when I look at to say what's our success is that we've knitted together a family between ourselves. You know, we're best friends and we've been partners for a long time. But it's also the group of people that we've integrated who work for us. It's kind of really cool. You know, it really is. We have to feed a lot of people, and we do it.
Okay, so let me ask you, look at your crystal ball now. How do you see the future?
Well, I hope my golf game gets better. You know, I do B&N once every week or two. Did you know that? You knew that? Okay. I had to just mention B&N. But no, I think the market right now, you know, we're kind of in a standstill. But I think usually standstills create excitement. And I think it's going to be like a river that opens up in the springtime. And I'm not saying spring, but I think in the next 3-4 months, we're going to turn it back up. And I think that, as I've always said when I do my TV stuff, I think that we're going to look back and say, wow, this was a really good opportunity to keep going and buying product. Because I think our model, the condo business that we've created, you can't break it. I mean, maybe sales slow down for a while, but our concept, our pricing, what people get for the value, way better than any other residential living in the city. It's my opinion.
What makes Toronto so special?
Well, Toronto is the most vibrant city in Canada. Economically, great place to live. People. Like, I think what makes cities is people. I think what makes Lanterra is people. That's. What do you think?
You know, I don't know if there's any other place in the world I'd rather live.
I thought you were going to say maybe Israel.
Well, Israel has a place in my heart, there's no question about that. But in terms of living peacefully in a great country with great people that respect each other, it's hard to find a better place than Canada. And there are a lot of immigrants who come here from all over the world looking for a better future, and they need places to live. And that's what's really fueling what I think will be an ongoing need for housing in Toronto. Part of the problem is affordable housing. We have to figure out how to make it affordable, accessible to people. But that's something that's an ongoing problem for the development industry that we are trying to deal with in our own way to a certain extent. I do think that we need to mention another group of people who have fueled a lot of our success and are actually our partners in what we do with Lanterra, and that's a third party Asian community.
Yeah, they're great.
We have a long list of VIP platinum agents. They work very hard to sell our product. We work very hard to support them. They know that if they sell a Lanterra project, They're not going to be embarrassed with their clients. They'll get what they contract to get. They're going to get something of great value, of great resale value. And we develop relationships through trips or through events or through personal meetings all the time. And I think it behooves us on our 25th anniversary to pay tribute to all of the people who did contribute to Lanterra's success over the last 25 years. It's our bankers, all the major charter banks in Canada, our partners, our consultants, our architects, our engineers, interior designers, people in our office, clearly, and the agents who we deal with on a daily basis. Ultimately, who we would like to thank is our purchasers, people who live in our condos, who enjoy living there every day, who know that if they have a problem, they could call us up and we'll do our best to fix it. And that's really the Lanterra story.
And I also want to personally thank you for being my partner for 25 years.
It's not been easy.
It's not been easy,
every
but I have
single
to tell
day.
you something.
What? I gotta tell you, I wake up and I say, how am I going to deal with this guy today?
You haven't changed in 25 years. You've always been the honorable, honest partner that I met the first day.
And you've always been Barry. No, but the truth of the matter is, we kibitz a lot. But let me tell you, when the going gets tough, I need somebody to figure something out. The one guy you want in your court is Barry, and that happens like 3 times a day.
Yeah, Sundays. Come to Mark's house on Sundays. We usually huddle up on a Sunday.
Again, we'd like to thank all of our associates of all levels. We look forward to a very rosy future. We enjoy working every single day. We're very proud of what we accomplished. And we like to be there every day for you.